Two fallen officers honored for their commitment to service. Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, August 29th. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Rochelle Metzger. Thank you for joining us tonight. Two Prince George's County Sheriff's deputies are remembered today. A memorial ceremony was held for Sergeant James Arnold and Deputy First Class Elizabeth Magruder, who were killed in the line of duty. Denise Douglas has the story.
These are two wreaths placed at the memorial in memory of the fallen deputies who are the only ones in the department's history killed in the line of duty. They were honored today. Friends, family, and fellow deputies came out to remember Private First Class Elizabeth Magruder and Sergeant James Arnold. Back in 2002, they responded to a call of a man who was acting erratically at a house in Adelphi. The suspect locked himself into a basement bedroom when they arrived. As they tried to get him to surrender, he came out of the room and opened fire. Both Arnold and Magruder were killed. Their family members were emotional but proud today as the sheriff called them heroes.
We know it is the love and understanding of each of our families that make it possible for us to go out each day to fulfill our duty. To those families, our hearts are always with you, and you're always in our thoughts and prayers. And so today, we do honor Sergeant Arnold and Deputy Magruder and recognize them for their ultimate sacrifice to our county, state, and nation.
Unfortunately, Liz and James had to die, but fortunately, because of their death, the community is a lot safer. Within the last 10 years, you see sheriff vehicles just as much as you see the county vehicles, and I know that's a direct reflection of Sheriff Jackson and Sheriff High, and I appreciate that.
I just want to thank everyone. It's been a long time coming for this memorial for my dad and Liz, and I just thank everyone for all of their heartfelt effort to putting it together to remember them and not be forgotten.
Deputy Arnold had been with the department for 13 years at the time of his death and was survived by his wife, 2 children, and 2 grandchildren. Meanwhile, Deputy Magruder had been with the department for just 1 year and was survived by her husband and child. I'm Denise Douglas, CTV News.
It is the first time that this ceremony has been held at the newly finished memorial monument on the grounds of the sheriff's headquarters building. The monument is scheduled to be dedicated in 2013.
The head of the local NAACP says he's confident that the 2 suspects in jail for fleeing in a stolen vehicle that allegedly led to the death of Officer Adrian Morris will not be harmed while behind bars. Bob Ross, who is president of the Prince George's chapter, says he wants to make sure that what happened to Ronnie White doesn't happen again. White was found dead in his maximum security cell in June 2008, 2 days after his arrest for allegedly running down and killing Sergeant Richard Finley in a stolen truck. Ross says he plans to call the Department of Corrections just as a precaution.
There's 2 different situations and the way that they happened, and unfortunately that was an isolated incident with Ronnie White. I'm quite sure that the correctional system has that in mind right now as they handle these two individuals. So I have the very utmost confidence in the correctional institution at this point.
Earlier this year, a federal grand jury indicted 48-year-old Anthony McIntosh for a federal civil rights violation in Ronnie White's death. McIntosh was a corrections officer at the Prince George's County Detention Center at the time of the incident. Well, Hurricane Isaac has just been downgraded to a tropical storm, but it's continuing to pack a punch in southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi with heavy rain and wind. Winds in that area are about 75 miles per hour, but it's the slow-moving storm, as seen from the satellite footage, that has residents most concerned. Forecasters say that residents there can expect a dangerous coastal storm surge and inland flooding throughout the evening. The combination of a storm surge and the tide will cause normally dry areas near the coast to be flooded by rising waters.
Meanwhile, many residents along the Gulf Coast are not waiting around to see what happens. Officials in New Orleans are calling for voluntary evacuations. Lingering fears from Hurricane Katrina have many people there seeking safety inland. Donna Carter evacuated Monday with her 2 daughters, son-in-law, and 3 young grandchildren. Speaking to us over the phone earlier today from a hotel room in Birmingham, Alabama, she says she's concerned for her 32-year-old son who is still there.
You didn't have to say let's, they said go. I mean, it was just like, you know, my coworkers were like, oh no, we're out of here. We're not even going to wait to see what's going to happen. If the minute they release us from work, they're going, and that's exactly what most of them did. They left. This is just a constant reminder of Katrina, you know, and I left my son behind, I left my dog behind, I left my new daughter-in-law.
What did you take with you and where did you go?
Plenty water, plenty canned goods, some blankets, some pillows, a couple of blow-up mattresses, whatever we could fit in a car, a few outfits. You know, we threw some things in a bag, a toothbrush, and things that might sustain us for maybe a couple of days. I just had a stroke not even 2 weeks ago, actually, so I'm really, really stressed out right now. And the worry of our homes, we don't know what's going to happen with our homes. If the flooding, I live 2 blocks from the levee and 2 blocks from a canal. So I'm kind of right there surrounded by water. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in the next hours to come. You know,
Carter says when she last spoke to her son this morning, he still had power, but as Isaac worsens, officials are urging people to stay off the streets and off the highways. Local governments there have also put up a disaster food stamp website where people can sign up for provisions should they need any.
Some bad news for hundreds of federal employees who work in Hyattsville. The Treasury Department and the General Service Administration have announced that 450 positions will be moved to Parkersburg, West Virginia. The positions are currently a part of the Federal Management Services Facility. The move will begin in November 2013 and is part of the facility's consolidation with the Bureau of Public Debt. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Rochelle Metzger.